What's up, everybody, and welcome back to the Scouting Combine. I know I haven't put out a show in a while. It's been really, really busy, but we have a lot of great content for you today as we lead up to the 2023 NFL Draft for tomorrow. Today, joining me is 3 hours per carry Alfredo Artiaga. Alf, how we doing today?
I'm doing great.
Good.
It's draft eve.
Merry Draft Eve.
Hmm.
It is. And before we get to all of this, there's a lot of rumors circling about Miami overall really, really liking two running backs. One running back in the draft and one running back that currently wears purple in Minnesota. Let's go ahead and start off with the Dalvin Cook news. So a friend of mine, Thor, who's been on the show, has some information which he said that there's an AFC team that has set up some trade parameters with Dalvin Cook post June 1st. And it leads almost every single person to believe, and I mean, Dalvin Cook has said it, that, he would like to come home as well, that it's the Miami Dolphins. Could it happen, Alf? Or is it wishful thinking?
No, I think it could absolutely happen, and I would go as far as to say that they probably have a favorable trade scenario for the draft during the draft to get Dalvin Cook. But if he were to be cut post June 1st, I would expect Miami to be first in line and first to sign him. I would be pretty certain about that.
Okay. And now the other report about Mike McDaniel really, really, really liking Jameer Gibbs. And, if there's opportunity to trade up in the first round or maybe in the early second to get Jameer Gibbs, do you think they pull the trigger?
I think if it gets anywhere near 51, I think there's way too much smoke, right? Like this can't be lies. These all can't be lies. Um, I think that they probably made the estimation, and if you think about it, it kind of makes so much sense. Mike Shanahan for years didn't use premium backs until he did, right? He traded for Christian McCaffrey. Who's the closest thing to Christian McCaffrey in this draft? It's Jameer Gibbs.
Mm-hmm.
So it stands to reason that maybe there's a small little evolution in the philosophy, and they want that special back. And in my opinion, Jameer Gibbs is that guy. Short of Bijan Robinson, which you can't get because you can't get near him. Jameer Gibbs as a fit this this offensive system and this offense with the quarterback and these two wide receivers, it's hard to argue. It's a spectacular fit. But are they going to have to move into the 20s? If to move into the 20s, you're going to have to give up a future pick.
Mm-hmm.
I don't think they want to start touching what's in the kitty for 2024 because those are team building tools that they're going to need because part of and this is a good problem to have, okay? And the other problem is that we're always on Twitter and everybody's all they do is complain 24/7. But Chris Greer has built a pretty damn good roster here. And part of the problem with building a very good roster is that it begins to become expensive and you have to start making very, very tough decisions, like possibly not re signing Zach Sealer next season. So you got to supplement those guys with premium picks. If you start trading all your first and second round picks, even going forward, you're not going to have the ammunition to replace guys as good as Zach Sealer.
Right.
So I think if it's kind of close and there's a fear, like let's say Jamar Gibbs drops to in the 40s, like the early 40s, and you have to move up 10 spots, I could see them digging into their reserves to move up there. But to get into like the top 30, like to the 20s in the first round, man, I just don't see it. I don't see how they do it.
All right. Well, let's go ahead and get straight into this mock draft. And, thank you for the information on Jameer Gibbs and Dalvin Cook. So for this mock draft, Alpha and I have chose our players for our picks. Um, Now, this mock draft will be round one and round two, but only up to pick 51 for the Miami Dolphins. Before we get to pick 51, we'll be talking about some potential fits, players that are available at that time, and we will make our selections right then and there. All right, Alf, we're going to start off with the top five. It is with the number one pick, the Carolina Panthers. If you're Carolina, I have my GM hat on. And this is literally me going against the grain of Vegas, the betting markets, everything that is coming out. I really do believe that Carolina will pick up CJ Stroud instead of Bryce Young. Now, the reason why I say it is because of head coach Frank Reich. He wants a prototypical quarterback for the scheme he'll bring to Carolina in his 2023 um, draft, especially with the first pick. So the quarterbacks he's played with is the quarterbacks he's coached is Carson Wentz, Nick Foles. Both are 6'3", 6'4", 6'5". Mobile quarterbacks from Carson Wentz. Was there Nick Foles? Yeah, he could get the job done. CJ Stroud is 6'4", and I believe 215, if I'm not mistaken. Has a pretty
Didn't he measure in a little shorter? Isn't he around 6'3" and change?
he is 6'3", 218.
Okay.
6'3", 6'3.5", and
Well,
218 pounds.
let me just say right off the bat, I understand that CJ Stroud scored that awful whatever it was.
S2 cognitive test.
Yeah, the eight, he scored an 18. I have my own little criteria, and I'm gonna and I did this exercise before on a 3 yards per carry podcast, and I think we can spend a little bit of time here since it's it's the first one, right? So it's the first pick. So let me get my criteria, which I built off of what Bill Parcells said once,
Uh-huh.
and I modified it a little bit, okay,
To
as a
this modern game
checklist.
now?
Yeah, it's a checklist for a franchise quarterback. I'm bringing it up here, okay? All right, here it is. And it's a simple checklist of 10 things. Okay? And I run it through almost every quarterback that's potentially going to be drafted to try to if I find two guys kind of similar, I compare them with this criteria. Tua Tagovailoa, by the way, scored 7 out of 10, which is a very high score. Okay, this is the criteria. Number one, success in high school and college, and that's just production. Okay, check. Championships in high school, college, at least regional titles and conference titles in college. Check, check. Height, NFL average or better. 6'2" is the average NFL height for an NFL quarterback.
Stroud
Check.
checks that.
Weight,
That's 3.
NFL average, that's 3. Weight, NFL average or better is 210 pounds. That's check.
He's
Arm strength
218.
average or better. That's 5 now. High school in these regions: California, Texas, Southeast, the Southeast, Ohio, and the Pennsylvania area. Check again. Okay. No major injuries in college. This is important. No concussion history whatsoever in college. Check. Multiple seasons of above league average completion percentage. When I wrote this, it was 62%. It's up to 64.2%. Check. And as an addendum to that one, he has to have at least a 2.5 to 1 TD to interception ratio in college.
I think
Check.
he blew that out of the water, especially at
Yeah.
Ohio
He
State.
has to be a team captain in college. Check. He has to have an award at the high school and
And
college level, either all conference, players of the week, or have been a Heisman candidate. Check.
all
CJ
10.
Stroud is the first guy that's ever scored 10 for 10 since I've been doing this checklist. In my opinion, he's the best quarterback prospect in this class. If I had the number one pick, that would be my draft pick. But evidently, it's not going to be, or at least we don't think it's going to be.
We are
As
believed.
Jay Glazer reported yesterday that Bryce Young is a lock at number one. Although we don't really know yet because they haven't confirmed it. But
Remember,
I tend to
guys.
trust Jay Glazer.
Remember, guys. The whole lead up to the draft is all smoke. Almost every single mock draft, even this one, is not 100% correct. It's not even 70% correct. Like the most picks that people hit is 10 picks out of 30. And I haven't
Mhm.
seen that happen recently in a while. This is all just predictive guessing at this point. So for your number one pick, Carolina picks who, Alf?
Well, I tend to trust Jake Glazer, so I'm going to say that Bryce Young is going to go right there.
Okay. I go with CJ Stroud to Carolina. Now, number 2 is Houston. So in your mock, you have Bryce Young already to
Hmm.
Carolina. Now this gets a little bit difficult for Houston because Houston is all over Bryce Young, but they won an extra game, leading them to get the number 2 pick instead of Chicago, right? And Chicago traded back from the number 1 pick, and Carolina went up. So what does Houston do?
Hmm. I've given this a lot of thought. I know that in on our show on 3 yards per carry, I mocked Will Levis here, but I
Oh,
mocked him here as kind of a reach because I think that they really wanted Bryce Young. So I'm wondering, where does Nick Casario go as far as who is his QB2 on his board? And I came up with Will Levis for a few factors, but namely because of previous draft history.
right.
But I think that they might actually go through with it and pass on a quarterback altogether. And it might take Will Anderson. But I'm going to stay true to what I said on the 3 yards per carry podcast. I think that they take Will Levis here at number 2.
Oh, wow. Will Levis making a gigantic, gigantic leap. And honestly, I don't know if you saw that Reddit post that there was apparently some inside sources saying that the Panthers and Texans were really, really like Will Levis, and Levis jumped up to be the number 2 pick from plus 400 to plus 4,000 odds. And that was absolutely insane to me how that happened. But if I'm Houston and CJ Stroud is the first quarterback taken, I mean, the connections are just too great for Bryce Young to not be selected by Houston. Nick Casario wants him. Houston wants him. D'Amico Ryans has spoke highly of Bryce Young. He's done it all at the highest level, and he's not concerned at his size. So he literally takes your Bill Parcells list, that main factor of height, and tells you to shove it up your butt, basically. I mean,
Which is odd because Nick Casario is he's from that school,
he's from that school of thought as well, and I mean, he doesn't fit your typical mold of your typical NFL passer. He's reminiscent of another quarterback, like Kyler Murray, who's done it at that same level. He was taken high with other elite traits at the quarterback position as well.
Hmm.
And honestly, if the Carolina Panthers do take Bryce Young, the Texans are definitely not going to take CJ Stroud just because of the connections he has with his own agent. It's David Muguleta is representing him, who also represents Deshaun Watson, and that did not go well with that Houston Texans organization. So number 3 is the Arizona Cardinals. Now they're kind of the wild card right now. What do you think the Detroit Lions will do, Alf? I'm sorry. What do you think the
The
Arizona
Cardinals.
Cardinals will do?
Well, I made this one really really simple. They have a need at the position.
Uh-huh.
It's extremely likely that he is the BPA.
Mm-hmm.
They committed to Kyler Murray. They take Will Anderson right here, and that's who I have in my mock at number 3.
So you don't think they'll take what Kyler Murray wants and Paris Johnson Jr.?
No,
Not at all.
no, no. I believe they still have DJ Humphries under contract there also. So
Okay.
that's pretty high to be taking a right tackle. Although
Yeah.
he eventually will be a left tackle in the pros, but they have an expensive left tackle already. So
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. I actually have Arizona trading back to recoup more picks with the Detroit Lions themselves. Now, I honestly think this will make the biggest headlines in the draft if this actually happens. I mean, yeah, we know Jared Goff has done well with the Lions last year, but having, Richardson in this Lions offense, even though they're down Jameson Williams for 6 games, they lost another wide receiver. They still have pretty good weapons and a good offensive line that would set up the Lions for success uh, in the future. I'm sorry, it's not Jameson. Is it Jameson Williams that they have? Yeah, Jamo. They have Jameson Williams. They have Jameson Williams, and
yeah,
he
he's
didn't
out
do
and
much.
he's out for what
Six
is it?
games.
Yeah.
6 games for sure. I mean, Aaron Rodgers is not in this division. The Chicago Bears are at least a year to 2 years away from contending. The Vikings have a really old team, and they may ship off Dalvin Cook. They're down Adam Thielen. They have a newly revamped defense with barely any corners. Go get a franchise changing quarterback that can change your franchise and put you at the top of the NFC North and put you in playoff contention for years to come. I mean, he's going to learn from offensive coordinator Ben Johnson. The technicalities should get better for him. I don't expect him to start his rookie season. Maybe get some reps, get some snaps him if he is drafted in Detroit. But he's still got a lot to learn. And I think you want to bank on that size and that athleticism. I mean, he's getting Josh Allen comparisons. If you want a guy like Josh Allen, he's the most similar.
No, I still have Will Anderson. So I guess we're moving to. So you made a trade with your pick.
Yeah, I made a trade with that pick.
Yeah, I'm not making any trades in my mock. I'm just gonna run them like kind of straight, which moves us to pick 4, and I think here's where it makes just way too much sense. And I think this is where CJ Stroud ends up with. He ends up with the Colts here at number 4, and I think it's a great pick for them.
Okay. And CJ Stroud, I have the Colts picking up a quarterback as well, but it's Mayo loving QB Will Levis from Kentucky. He's been making waves in this draft process. I mean, the scouts, NFL media, they're raving about him playing in a pro style offense at Kentucky. Shane Steichen has done well with Justin Herbert, with Jalen Hurts as well. He's worked with many, many different type of quarterbacks, but nobody as experienced as Will Levis in a pro style offense. He's got a lot of tools to work with, athleticism, and he's done it with barely any run game, a bad offensive line, and subpar wide receivers in the SEC against SEC defenses. I mean, I don't know how much more of a resume he'll need to be convinced to not be taken in the top 5. I think the Colts pull the trigger and pick up Will Levis. All right, number 5 is the Seattle Seahawks.
I can go first if you like.
Yeah, go ahead.
They have a great cornerback in Tariq Woolen. I think they'll wanna pair him with the best one in this draft. Ooh. I got Devin Witherspoon going here at number 5.
Number 5. Do you think that's high for a corner to go at number 5?
No, it's happened before. Jalen Ramsey went in the top 5. So, Sauce went where?
Well, Jalen Ramsey was actually a safety. He was a safety / nickel. He wasn't a true corner at that time.
Yeah, but remember what he calls himself. He calls himself a
defensive back. Sauce, yeah. I think he went 4 as well.
Yeah, so it's there. It happens.
It's there. Wow. Devon Witherspoon. That's at number 5 with Tariq Woolen. I actually have the Seahawks picking up Jalen Carter. Now I get the background issues with it, but he's exactly what the Seahawks need. They need a absolute dog, a monster in the middle of their defensive line. I mean, you pair him up with Dramont Jones, Jerron Reed. It's another step in revamping their front 4, and they will get back to playing championship caliber defense. You still have a lot of good defensive linemen on the board, and you pick up the best one, and you still have more picks in the first round to pick up another corner. Here, Anthony's saying Sauce Gardner was drafted number 6. Let's make sure that's true. Sauce Gardner. Sauce Gardner was pick 4, actually. He was pick 4. All right. We did pick 5. So we're moving out of the top 5, and we go to picks 6 through 10. Now, this is where the draft gets very, very volatile. Now, number 6 is Detroit's pick. I have them trading with Arizona, and I have Arizona picking up Will Anderson.
I have Detroit staying put and taking Jalen Carter here. I think it makes way too much sense for that defense. And they have a screaming need, especially if you look at that depth chart on the defensive line. Mm-hmm. They have almost nothing on the interior. So Jalen Carter makes perfect sense.
Anthony's saying if the Seahawks draft a corner pair up with Tyreek Woolen, it's going to be Joey Porter, not Devon Witherspoon.
We shall see.
It's
But
all
I'm
about.
gonna stay true. I'm gonna stay true to my board. I think Devin Witherspoon is the clear cut
Mhm,
cornerback one in this draft.
mhm.
So I would take Devin Witherspoon, and his physicality will go really really nice with Tariq Woolen on the other side.
Number seven is the Raiders. With Jimmy
And
G.
this is where I think Josh McDaniel says, okay, we got lucky here. We played the board
Mhm.
perfectly, and I'm taking Anthony Richardson here
All right,
to be my
Jimmy G is their
quarterback of the
QB.
future.
Jimmy
Hmm
G is their QB right now, but you're saying they pick up their quarterback of the future in Anthony Richardson.
Anthony Richardson is not ready to start NFL games this coming season.
Hmm.
So it stands to reason this is a perfect spot for him
Hmm.
with a guy who's very good at handling quarterbacks. It's a perfect match, really.
Wow. Perfect fit, fits like a glove. I go in the other
Yes.
direction. I go with offensive line over here. I have Paris Johnson going over there. Really nice prototype at offensive tackle, size, length, quickness. The Raiders lost a lot of offensive line talent last year and this year. Colton Miller is their left tackle uh, for now, and Johnson really has only played 1 year at left tackle. He's also versatile enough to play right guard, and he can play right tackle. But he's also the best run blocker in this draft. And if he does play the right guard position or right tackle, he's basically paving the way for Josh Jacobs. Like it's going to become a run heavy team, a staple of Josh McDaniels, with a subpar to mid quarterback and leaning on the run game.
hmm
Number 8, Atlanta. I think they go pass rush here. I have them
Yeah,
with
Tyree Wilson. I
yeah.
think Tyree Wilson is
Tyree Wilson
perfect
is a
for right
perfect.
here, and that's who I would mock to them.
Wow, we have one similar pick right there. Just one. Pick number 8 with Tyree Wilson to Atlanta. Number 9.
Paris Johnson, and it's a match made in heaven. Really, again, it's another one of these perfect matches, in my opinion.
Mm-hmm,
I think Paris Johnson and the Bears, perfect fit. Justin Fields gets his left tackle going
mm-hmm,
forward.
mm-hmm. I have Peter Skronsky from Northwestern. Now, look, he doesn't necessarily fit the mold for offensive tackle, left tackle, or right tackle, but they are in desperate need of any and all offensive linemen to protect Justin Fields. I mean, does arm length matter like a lot? Yes, maybe depends on the scheme, but I mean he's the best offensive lineman over there. Like I don't think that they would not go with an offensive line pick.
I
Uh,
think it's entirely possible that Skrzyminski is going to be a Pro Bowler for the next 10 years, but he's going to be a Pro Bowler at guard.
at guard.
Uh, the people that are comparing him to Zach Martin, I absolutely see it, and that's kind of how I see him going forward. I have him going a little bit. I have him actually perfectly slated somewhere that I'll reveal very, very soon. But and when I say you're going to put it together, you're going to be like, okay, this begins to make a lot of sense, But yeah, I think that's Zach Martin. He's a fabulous player at tackle. I just don't see it. I just don't see it, and it's not something I would want to see actually.
Now number 10, Philadelphia. Now this is very hard to see what Howie Roseman is actually going to do. He can trade back. He can get, top value on the board. Um, it really depends on what the Eagles are going to do, but I think they stay put and pick up a running back in Bijan Robinson. I
And
mean,
that's who I have going to them as well. Bijan Robinson here at
two.
10. Okay, so yeah, it made a lot of sense. I thought about maybe Joey Porter Jr. here for them, which would be a fabulous pick for them as well because they need cornerback help.
Uh-huh.
But I think, man, they're gonna look at the board, and they don't have a very reliable RB1 right now in Rashad Penny. Rashad Penny's really more suited for RB2 anyway
Right.
because he just can't stay healthy. Man, they're gonna also take the next evolution in their offensive system, and they're gonna take a bell cow and
Yeah.
Bijan Robinson.
I mean, analytics be damned, right? I mean, he
Yeah,
rules. And they're still trying to surround Jalen Hurts with more talent. I mean, Jalen Hurts said it himself, well, we're trying to build a team to make a championship run. And, to make another run at the Super Bowl, I mean, you have to use Hurts' gravity that he uses with his legs, not necessarily his arm and how he passes the ball, but more so with his legs. And it puts every single defender in a bind. Do you cover the best running back, or do you cover a quarterback that can become a threat when he runs as well, similar to Lamar Jackson?
Mm-hmm.
All right, number 11, the Tennessee Titans. I have them picking up an offensive lineman in George's Broderick Jones. I mean, they lost a lot of veteran offensive linemen in free agency. They need to get younger up front, especially with Ryan Tannehill and Derrick Henry getting older.
I have them picking up Darnell Wright.
Oh,
I think Darnell Wright breaks into the league as a right tackle. I think he eventually will move to left tackle and be there for 10, 12 years. I love the player. He has some character red flags, but I don't think they're a big deal. Basically, his character red flags is that he has Twitter fingers, and he's bad. He's bad on the internet. That's it.
yeah,
Okay,
yeah.
so
Not
I
like
think,
Isaiah Prince, though, right?
and it's also no, and it's also a perfect mix. Yeah, it's a perfect match again. I keep matching these guys how they would be perfect matches for their teams. Yeah, he went to the University of Tennessee. He'll play for the Tennessee Titans. I think it's a perfect match.
Hometown.
Darnell Wright to Tennessee.
Hometown guy gets it. Now, Houston, number 12. I've been picking up a
Okay,
wide receiver.
this is where I'm gonna put something out there.
Wizard.
Okay, I gave them a quarterback here. Okay, they got Will Levis in the second round. Obviously, you got to
The
protect.
second pick, you mean?
Yeah,
Number
the second
12?
pick. I gave them Will Levis, right? So they got a quarterback. Obviously, they have to protect them, right? They already have bookend tackles. Okay,
Uh-huh.
they have Laramie Tunsil, best left tackle in football, maybe, and Titus Howard, who is probably one of the better up and coming right tackles. He's going to get a big contract in a year. They also signed Shaq Mason. Okay, they signed Scott Quisenberry at center. I think they take Skrnanski here, and you have yourself
A monster offensive line.
a monster offensive line where you can run, you could protect your.
They have Damian Pierce in their backfield.
Yeah. So think about what you're already building right here. And if you want your wide receivers, you could get them later on, and they got picks in this draft. So absolutely, you'll have now a pretty good. Think about that offensive line across the board. You have Tunsil, Skrnanski, Quisenberry, Shaq Mason, Titus Howard. That's a top 5 offensive line already for a rebuilding team.
Yeah.
I love the pick for them, and that's that. If I were in their draft room and Skrnanski's on the board, like
You'd be pounding the table.
yeah, I can't run to the podium fast enough. I think he's just perfect for that team. Perfect.
I have the best wide receiver in this year's class, and Ohio State's Jackson Smith-Jigba in Houston. He's not super fast, exceptional route runner, creates separation, gets downfield, and if he's paired up with Bryce Young as his quarterback, and when John Mechie III comes back, I mean, hey, you'll have a young nucleus of playmakers. Now, this comes into a discussion of, do you go for the old guard, build the offensive line, you have big dudes, you go crazy, or do you go for skill position players? Or do you just go all in for your playmakers like what Mike McDaniel has been hinting at for the last couple weeks, Alf? What
It's
will
a
Houston's brain trust do?
I already said what I have them going for right here, but going forward, I think in the future rounds in this draft, I think you fill out those skill position needs. They don't have any wide receivers, but they have the skeleton already. If they take Skrnanski, of a pretty good offensive line, they have a good running back. You could build those skill positions later, and it's an attractive franchise to bring in free agents as well in the future. So I wouldn't necessarily be taking wide receivers really, really high if I were them.
Okay. Number 13. This was the Jets pick up until, was it yesterday or Monday
yesterday.
night? Up until yesterday.
Yeah. And I think that trade yesterday cost the Jets the guy that they wanted. I think the Packers will take Jackson Smith-Jigba here. And
Ooh.
I think
They
that
finally drafted a wide
that's where the
receiver
Jets were
without Aaron Rodgers.
probably going to go with that pick. No longer, they'll take Jackson Smith Jigba here, and they'll give
Jordan Love some
Jordan
money.
Love a little bit more help.
Feels weird not
And
not having Rodgers as the quarterback in Green Bay.
yeah,
Feels weird to not say that.
yeah,
For
that
sure.
now it just means that they're going to have to start helping their quarterback a little bit more,
A little bit more. They haven't drafted a wide receiver in the first round in God knows how long.
right? Yeah.
I don't have them with the receiver. I actually have them picking up defensive lineman, edge in Clemson's Miles Murphy. I mean, there's rumors that they're really looking to select a pass rusher in this draft, and he's literally one of the best options on the board. Like the Packers go for size, length, and athleticism. He's got all of that of what Brian Gutekunst likes. He's explosive off the edge, but he needs to better his technique against the run. But they really need pass rush help. Even after and they lost. I think they went down after Zadarius Smith left for Minnesota.
Hmm.
So they need somebody to come off the edge for Green Bay. Number 14, New England.
They have a desperate need on the offensive line. I got Broderick Jones going there, which would make, I think, the third Georgia offensive lineman
That
they
they have.
take in the first round in like the last 5 years. So so yeah, hopefully this one works out. Well, not really. Hopefully this one busts out as well. But for them, hopefully this time it doesn't bust out like the other two did. So Broderick Jones here
Right
at
here. I have
14.
I have them going with another Georgia player. I have them going another edge rusher and Nolan Smith. Now, do you draft for need or do you draft BPA? That is always the question for everybody. If you're drafting for need, you may be selling yourself short. And this is exactly what I have Bill Belichick doing as the general manager of the New England Patriots. I mean that this guy cannot draft for the last 5, 6 years, but he picks up a pass rusher in Nolan Smith. I mean, they don't have a lot of pass rushers under contract beyond 2023 and Matthew Judon and 2021 draft pick Ronnie Perkins. He's an athletic freak. He's comparable to Hassan Reddick. He can move all along, the front seven as well. And this is the type of player Bill Belichick just oozes over. And I think he has a hard on for him and selects him just because he needs him as well. All right, number 15, stinking New York Jets after they got that ayahuasca loving freak.
uh, the way I see it, okay, the way I see it, they desperately need help at tackle now more than ever.
Mm-hmm.
And I love this player, but I think this is a massive reach. But I think they're going to just have to do it, and that's Anton Harrison, tackle out of Oklahoma. This
Way.
is a guy that should go somewhere in the 20s. They're going to have to take him at 15 out of necessity because this is a team that actually does need the draft based on need in
They
this
do.
first round.
So look, I was not waiting on the Aaron Rodgers saga at all. And you're right, the Jets need help at their tackle position. But guess who's on the board with a paper thin tackle roster? Darnell Wright from Tennessee. I think he goes to the New York Jets. He's the best right tackle. Well, he's the best tackle on the board for them, and he slides right into right tackle pretty nicely. Fits the system, fits the scheme. And I know you hate the fit, but he's going to be really, really good anywhere you put him. All right, number 16, the Ron Rivera Washington Commanders. What do you have there?
They have an MO already on that team. They love defensive linemen early. They love edge rushers early. They just announced today that they will not pick up the fifth-year option on Chase Young. He will be a free agent, which means they better start getting a guy that can get after the quarterback, right? Nolan Smith is what I have going here.
I have them, they really need a cornerback. And the best cornerback on the board right now is Devon Witherspoon, and they pick him. He offers position flexibility. Even though, he played in a similar system as the Commanders defense, so he wouldn't have that bad of a learning curve. And we know playing defensive back in the NFL is already hard as it is. Just ask Noah Igbenogany; he'll tell you all about it. And like that learning curve would be minimal, as Illinois ran a similar style in 2022. He can mirror man coverage, tough demeanor. He's got the ball skills. He doesn't necessarily have the size or sticks downfield, but I mean, he'll make something work in Washington. All right, 17 is the Pittsburgh Steelers, the Steel City. I also have them picking up a defensive back. I have them picking up cornerback Christian Gonzalez from Oregon. He's one of the many corners that the Steelers have brought in for a draft visit. They also need secondary help. 6'2", 200 pounds, super athletic. He's an ideal size to match up with the bigger and stronger receivers at the NFL level, especially in a hyper competitive AFC.
Yeah, when I did my mock, I put certain guys like I even jump picks, just looking like okay, these guys don't need a corner, and that guy doesn't need a corner, and this one doesn't need a corner. So I just started placing guys where I think they will go, and that was that's one of the ones that I did first. Actually, I'll tell you exactly because I have them in order. The first guy I placed with somebody was Peter Skornonski with the Texans. The second guy I placed was Christian Gonzalez with the Pittsburgh Steelers. So yeah, absolutely perfect pick here at 17.
We have three of the same pick so far.
Yeah, three of the same.
Three same.
I
Number
don't know if that's
18.
good or bad.
What if we hit the same picks as well?
Yeah, right.
Number 18, Detroit Lions.
This one's a no-brainer, and they're going to run up the card there immediately, if not sooner. If you look at that team, it's a talented team on offense, not so talented on defense, but you could begin to get those bookends going.
Are you thinking what I'm thinking too?
Miles Murphy here from Clemson to go opposite of Aiden Hutchinson makes a ton of sense.
I have them going corner here.
It's a possibility. They need one.
I mean, their run on corners is starting right now, and they bolstered this defense with a bloodline prospect and Joey Porter Jr., especially after the trade of Jeffrey Okudah. They level up in the secondary. With his versatility, he can play slide, he can play nickel, he can play boundary, he can play the field side. He can fill in anywhere he's needed, and he's a good schematic fit for Detroit. Number 19 is
Tampa
the
Bay
Buccaneers.
I think that they'll take the best skill player probably on the board right now, and that's Dalton Kincaid. I think they take Dalton Kincaid
tight
here.
end.
And it's the first tight end that goes, and he goes at 19 to Tampa Bay.
Is that usually early for a tight end in your opinion?
I think it's just about right, but it has to be the right guy, and I think Dalton Kincaid is that right guy. They don't need much on offense. They're going to look around, and they're going to say, man, are we going to play on the edges of looking for a guard or possibly a new center since Ryan Jensen's getting up there in age? They're going to say, you know what, well, let's fill out these skill position players. We kind of like the talent everywhere else. Tampa Bay's not a hopeless team. They just lost Tom Brady. But they're not a hopeless team. They had a lot of injuries last year. They still have a lot of talent on defense and offense. They have nothing at tight end. I think they started right here.
Something Schefter just tweeted out. Have to share this. While Houston hasn't received much trade action so far for the number 2 pick, the Texans have explored the idea of moving off their second first-round pick, the number 12 overall selection per sources. Texans have made calls about moving back in round 1 and also moving back up.
So Casario's winning and dealing, trying to get as many picks as possible. This won't pertain to the Dolphins because Dolphins don't have the ammunition to move up there, in a million years. They don't have enough.
Not at all. So on the topic of the Buccaneers, I think they pick up a safety. They pick up Brian Branch from Alabama. And this is more so a Todd Bowles kind of thing. He needs a thumper. He needs a tackler in that defense and someone who can wear multiple hats while doing it. I think Brian Branch is that player. He's a do-it-all defender with good instincts and coverage, has speed as a blitzer. And, they need a nickel defender and someone who has the ability to also switch to safety if needed be. They had a lot of injuries in the defensive backfield as well. Somebody that can wear multiple hats like Brian Branch fits for Todd Bowles and this defense.
All right.
Number 20. Number
Uh,
20.
this is one of my favorite players in the draft, and I did a 2-on-3 YPC really really early on. I absolutely love this player. Kalijah Clancy, I have going here to Seattle. I think he completes that front seven for the Seahawks. Seahawks are getting really, really, really good in this draft. If you especially look on defense, I have them taking Devon Witherspoon, number 5, and now Kalijah Clancy. That's a huge boost for what was an undermanned defense last year. That's two very, very talented pieces. I love the player and I love the fit here in Seattle. Kalijah Clancy.
Wow. So I have this is actually a little bit crazy, right? I have the Cincinnati Bengals trading up with Seattle with this pick to pick up Dalton Kincaid at number 20. Now, this is a pretty shocking trade to pull off, especially for a tight end, but we all know how deep this tight end class is, and it's absolutely loaded. And Dalton Kincaid is the best pass catching tight end there is to help bring more firepower to an electric Bengals offense. You need more playmakers. You need more playmakers in the AFC to make a run. At winning the championship and the Super Bowl. Just ask anybody who's played the Chiefs. 21, Los Angeles Chargers.
I'm
Are they
actually
picking quarterback, Alf,
doing
here?
a thing that some people do where they're looking at phones. I'm actually reading some stuff right now.
You got to speak a little bit louder.
Okay. You know how some insiders actually start looking at their phone like while they're doing things, and then and like try to take notes as they're doing something else.
Uh-huh.
That's exactly what I'm doing right now. I'm reading some things.
So tell us,
Okay.
Alf Schefter.
Okay, it's not. It's not. It has nothing to do with this.
Oh, wow.
Okay, it has something to do. It has something to do with dolphins, but I can't. I can't reveal it right now.
All right.
All right. So we are at 21, right?
And we're at number 21. That's the Los
It
Angeles
can't get any
Chargers.
better for the Chargers. This board has really, really opened up for
The
them,
Chargers always do well in the first round of the draft. They get whoever the
and
heck
they're gonna
they
do even
want.
better now because I'm giving them Joey Porter Jr.
Whoa.
and this is an
You think he
impact
falls that
pick.
low? You think he falls
Yes,
that low?
yes.
Why?
Well, it's the way I mocked it.
Okay.
It's not like I'm giving people the
That is,
only
that is
reach I
not a
have.
good reason. That is not a good reason as to why.
Yeah, the
If he
why is
drops to
because
21, there's an issue.
he drops it because other teams take other people. It's as simple as that. I only really built in one reach in this entire first round so far, and that's Anton Harrison to the Jets, and that's because the Jets
They needed
have to
something.
draft for need. So that's the only reach I have so far. Every other guy I think is capable of that spot. Every year there's a guy that drops for no apparent reason, and a team is lucky to take him. And I have Joey Porter Jr. going to the Chargers at 21. I absolutely love him. At one point, I had him as CB1. I ended up making Devin Witherspoon my CB1,
CB1.
but I have Joey Porter as my CB2, actually. Although
All
I
right.
do like Deonte Banks, which you will hear about very, very shortly.
We will. We will. We're going to go lightning from picks 21 to 31 as we want to get into the second round as well. I have them picking up Quentin Johnson. They need another receiver. Keenan Allen and Mike Williams aren't getting any younger, and he fits all 7 molds of athletic testing in height, weight, arm length, 10 cone, shuttle drill, everything. He fits everything that the Chargers are looking for in a wide receiver. Another weapon for Justin Herbert's. 22, Baltimore.
This is where I have Deonte Banks going.
I
And
do too. That's what, 4 players?
Yeah, that's 4. So Deonte Banks here to Baltimore, perfect fit. He's even
Perfect
he's
fit in Mike,
already.
in
Yeah,
Mike
first of all,
McDonald's.
he's from Maryland, so it's all he has to do is take a car ride, okay, to the facility. So yeah, he's a perfect fit. Deonte Banks, great tackler, one of my favorite prospects in this draft this year. So yeah, absolutely, and he's actually my CB. Let me
3?
see. I have him as my CB3 because I have Christian Gonzalez CB4. So yeah, Deonta Banks here to 22. Another gift
I
for
have number
the Ravens.
23. Number 23, Minnesota. I have them picking up a wide receiver in Zay
I
Flowers.
have Jordan Addison going here to
We go wide
Minnesota.
receiver, but different wide receiver.
Yeah, I got Jordan Addison going here to Minnesota. He should be a perfect fit opposite of Jefferson. So, yeah, Minnesota gets a little help for Kirk Cousins as
Huh?
they're not having the greatest of off seasons so far.
No, they're not. 24 is the Jaguars. I have them picking up Kalijah Kancey. They have a void in their interior defensive line, and man, that is a young, raw, but very, very good defensive line for the Jaguars.
That's a great pick. I have them taking Brian Branch here. I think Brian Branch is that captain of their defense that they're going to need, and I think he's a perfect fit. I think that's where he goes.
25, I have the Giants picking up wide receiver Jordan Addison. Played with Kenny Pickett, played with Caleb Williams. Now he's playing with Daniel Jones. He's a refined route runner, lined up in the slot, more around the field. Giants get another playmaker to help their $40 million a year quarterback.
I got Quentin Johnson going here. They're going to need a wide receiver, and we have pretty much the same reasoning. I think he's a good fit for New York and for the type of offense that they want to run. Physical guy. Quentin Johnson to the Giants.
Ooh. 26, another NFC East team, Dallas Cowboys. I have them going defensive line, Brian Breesy. Now, this goes against the grain of what the Cowboys always do in the first round. They're all about flashy players in offense, and I feel like tight end is safe. Like they could go Michael Meyer right here, but they really do have pressing needs at defensive tackle. You want to build strength on top of strength. You go defense, you get somebody to plug holes for Michael Parsons and DeMarcus Lawrence. Brian Breesy does just that.
I know people are tempted to say, "Oh, here's where they'll take their tight end." No, Cowboys love what they have on the roster already at tight end, even though they lost Dalton Schultz. Okay, the reason they let Dalton Schultz go is because they liked what they had already in their depth chart. So they love their tight ends. So they will not take Michael Meyer here. I got them taking Lucas Van Ness here, another edge rusher. He'll help on that defense. DeMarcus Lawrence will be gone in a year. So it stands to reason this is a pretty good pick for them. Lucas Van Ness at 26 to Dallas.
I have Lucas Van Ness going at the next pick to the Buffalo Bills. The recent draft history suggests they draft defense, and he learns the tools of the trade between DaQuan Jones, Ed Oliver, Von Miller. Von Miller is getting old. I don't expect him to stay any longer in Buffalo. Their defense is built from the inside out, and he's that rugged pass rusher of Lucas Van Ness. He fits the culture. Like they need more pass rushers.
I got the Bills turning over a new leaf and doing something that they didn't expect to do before, and I have them taking Zay Flowers here.
Oh,
to pair with Stephon Diggs or possibly to replace Stephon Diggs in a year. So yeah, Zay Flowers here at 27. I feel good about it for
man,
Buffalo.
Flowers in the AFC East. Oh God, that is gonna be.
And I think Bills fans would be pretty happy about that too.
Yeah, I think they will be. 28 is a Cincinnati Bengals pick. I had them trading with Seattle on this one, so you go first with Cincinnati.
Michael Meyer here. I understand that they picked up a tight end. Was it Irv Smith that they picked up?
Yeah, they did. They signed him to like a pretty, very low 1.5.
If you're signing Irv Smith very late in free agency, you still don't have a tight end. They lost Hayden Hurst. Mm-hmm. So they're weak at the position. They get what a lot of people thought was going to be the best tight end on the board. Michael Mayer here goes to the Cincinnati Bengals, and they'll be really happy about it. Another team that had the board open up for them and, would allow them to take a guy at need who is probably also their BPA. So Michael Mayer at 28.
I have with this pick, the Seahawks and Bengals basically, traded over here. I have them getting a really, really good value in this draft. One of the best offensive linemen still available on the board. They form a young offensive line that provides a long-term fixture at guard. They pick up Florida's Osiris Torrance. I mean, you can't go wrong with him over there. 29. New Orleans Saints have the picking up defensive line.
They need it. They don't have anything on that defensive line.
I go with Maisie Smith. I mean, I think he's a top 15 player, but is great value. Like he's gonna plug up holes. He's a fantastic run defender, and they were atrocious against the run last year.
I haven't taken Will McDonald the fourth, so
Ooh, edge
and
rusher
that'll
itself.
give him a pretty good bookends to go with
Uh-huh,
nothing else on the defensive line because I don't have anything. So it's a start. It's a
uh-huh.
start having two good defensive ends. So Will McDonald at 29.
So
At 30 is where, man, this draft can't get any better for the Eagles.
yeah.
I wouldn't take him here because I like somebody else better. I like DJ Turner better. I think
Oh,
they'll take Emmanuel Forbes at cornerback here at 30. Uh,
Emmanuel Forbes.
yes, he's a perfect fit as far
Oh,
as
I
ball
don't
skills and
like
everything for
him.
Philadelphia. That's who I have going at this pick.
I don't
30.
like him. I feel that is a gigantic reach. This feels like a Noah Igbenogany pick, right there, in my opinion.
Who do you like better, Cam Smith or DJ Turner?
Me personally, I like Cam Smith better than DJ Turner.
At 30?
Uh, I wouldn't pick Cam Smith at 30. I
Okay,
wouldn't
because
pick
I
DJ
have
Turner
my
either.
cornerback. I have my cornerbacks matched up right here at 30 as DJ Turner, Cam Smith, and then Emmanuel Forbes. I
Okay.
have the Eagles taking my CB3 right here at 30, Emmanuel Forbes,
I have them picking up Anton Harrison.
which is a
Howie
great
Roseman
pick.
loves Sooner prospects.
Well, this is
First
a
Mike
great pick.
Johnson,
Although,
Jalen.
but do they need more offensive line?
Mhm.
Don't
They're
they have
still going to
enough
build it.
already?
They're going to build it. They're going to protect Jalen. 31, Kansas City. I have them picking up tight end Michael Meyer. That is going to be a deadly 12 personnel set for the Kansas City Chiefs. This is going to be a much deadlier offense.
Felix Anuki Azuma for
Oh, K State edge rusher.
yes, I have
Okay.
them going to, which is odd, but different states, by the way.
Yeah,
Kansas
it
City
is.
is in Missouri, Kansas State is in Kansas, so it's
Yeah,
it's
don't
different.
be like
But
don't be like the former president.
yes,
All
yeah.
right, pick number 32. We know the
The
Dolphins.
Steelers get lucky and they take one of my favorite players in this draft as well, Mazzie Smith.
Uh-huh.
And they pair him with Cam Hayward in what is going to be a different defensive front this year. Great pick.
Uh-huh. I have them picking up an offensive lineman and DeJuan Jones. They need tackle help. They got to protect Kenny Pickett. They have to protect Kenny Pickett. Number 33 is the Houston Texans. I have them picking up Will McDonald from Iowa State. They need help on defense. D'Amico Ryans needs edge rushers for the Texans.
This is DJ Turner here, and it's essentially DJ Turner because, in my opinion, on my board, he is the BPA at this spot. So I just assigned him to the Texans, and they need that secondary help. So
Uh-huh.
I just gave him my BPA at 33. Texans are having a monster draft on my mock board.
34, Arizona. They need cornerback help. The guy who fits here in Arizona is your CB3, Emmanuel Forbes in Arizona.
All right, I got them taking Osiris Torrance. They need help on the interior offensive line.
Uh-huh.
It's kind of a need pick, but at 34, it makes sense, especially when your quarterback needs to be clean up the middle. Osiris Torrance helps with that.
35, Indianapolis. They pick up Cam Smith from South Carolina. They need defensive back help. Rocky Sin, I believe he's a free agent next year, if I'm not mistaken. Somebody correct me if I'm wrong. He's going to get a monster. He's going to get a monster contract by either Indianapolis or somebody else. They need cornerback help. They need a CB1, a CB2, maybe another slot corner. And then next year, Cam Smith's their guy. They build for the future on the secondary with him.
I gave the Colts here at 35 Jalen Hyatt. Okay. Now hear me out. They already have Michael Pittman.
Mm-hmm.
They have that other guy. I keep forgetting his name, but he came on last year as a slot receiver. What do they lack? They lack an
Zach Pascal?
explosive. I'll give you his name. He came on toward the end of the year last year.
Alec Pierce? No.
Alec Pierce.
He was
Yeah, Alec,
drafted. Yeah, Alec Pierce. He was
Alec
drafted.
Pierce. All that they picked up as far as a speed element for the outside is Isaiah McKenzie. That is not enough. Like if that's your feature for the entire offseason as a speed element, then you essentially ignored speed on your offense. They need speed. Makes sense right here, Jalen Hyatt. he's probably the best deep route runner in the entire class. Some people think
Jalen Hyatt? You think Jalen
that's
Hyatt's the best route runner in this class?
I think he might be the best deep route runner
Oh,
in this
deep route
class.
runner. Okay, I thought you said
Okay,
route runner. I
and
was
like I
like,
said, some people think that that's the only route that he runs because it's the only thing that you see on his film. But I like Jalen Hyatt a lot. I think at 35, it's a very, very safe pick. He's going to be able to do one thing really, really well. He's going to be able to take the top off of defense, and that's exactly what the Colts need at 35. At 36, I like to announce the pick.
go
Okay,
ahead.
we've seen an
The Rams?
evolution at thinking as far as what the Shanahan McVay kind of
Oh
system
my
is.
God, you're gonna pick him, aren't you, over here?
And this is where it continues. Okay. And I think at this point, Mike McDaniel has given Chris Greer a look. Chris Greer has looked back and they've had a conversation. And Chris Greer has told them they asked us for our first round pick next year to get into this pick. And I'm not going to give up our first rounder next year and 84 to get pick 36 so you can just get Jahmyr Gibbs. So we're just gonna have to let Sean McVay go up to the podium and take Jahmyr Gibbs. Jahmyr Gibbs goes to the
Ooh,
Rams at 36.
ooh. I have them going wide receiver and Josh Downs from North Carolina. I wasn't thinking like that, but I think they go wide receiver here. They're rebuilding, man. Like they're definitely rebuilding. Like I don't expect them to pick a running back that high. They're in rebuild mode. They need to get cash off that team. Cooper Cup may become a casualty in the next year or two. They get younger with Josh Downs.
All right, I could give you 37 as well. Another really really good player on this in this draft. One of my favorites as well. John Michael Schmidt.
Oh,
Schmidt goes here to Seattle. It's a
now does he
need.
play center or guard? Does he play
I
center
think
or
I
guard?
think they'll play him at center.
Okay,
They could possibly play him at guard to start because I think Seattle has somebody there already who's
yeah.
capable. But he'll be there for a very long time.
So
He'll play
you
center.
you would take, for example, if you're John Schneider, you would take John Michael Schmitz over Steve Avila.
Yes.
Okay.
Mm.
Okay. With this pick, I have them picking up Tank Dell from Houston. They need somebody that can, run like Tyler Lockett. Tyler Lockett is not getting any younger. He may be gone in a year. You need somebody that can complement DK Metcalf. You need a good route runner. You need a separator. You need somebody with more speed. Tank Dell.
Hmm.
38. Pick 38 is the Raiders. Steve
DeJuan
Avila.
Jones.
I got Avila.
Okay.
They keep going offensive line to protect Jimmy G and help out in the run game. Now pick 39. Uh, pick 39 is the Panthers here, and they partner DJ Turner up with J.C. Horn. Those two guys on the perimeter, athletic, guys that can play press. Is that is going to be a sight to see in Carolina, especially with those two defensive backs there.
I haven't taken Josh Downs because they need a wide receiver, and I don't have them taking one yet. So I got Josh Downs going to Carolina.
Okay. Number 40 is the New Orleans Saints.
Uh,
Felix.
in my board, I was set up one guy to drop big, and this guy I made him probably drop about 6 spots more than I wanted him to, because I think that some of those teams are just going to look at him and say, "Look, this is BPA. I got to take him." This is where I put Brian Breezy to the New Orleans Saints
Whoa.
at 40. I think he's more likely going to go in around the 32 range.
Hmm.
So I think he would go where I gave Mazzy Smith to the Steelers, but I think Mazzy Smith is a better fit for the Steelers than Brian Breezy is. So that's the only thing. I just have him flip flopped. So Brian Breezy at 40 to the Saints in my big dropper in this draft.
I have Felix Anudike-Uzomah here. They need edge. They pair him up with Maisie Smith. They have young guys on the defensive line that can play 2 to 3 downs each. Pick 41 is the Tennessee Titans. I've been picking up Jalen Hyatt. They need speed. They need a wide receiver as well. If they have the blocking up front to get down the field, it's gonna be Hyatt. Like he's gonna get open, especially in the AFC South with no good corners there.
I got Cam Smith here finally.
Okay. Okay.
So
42 is Green Bay. Now, pick 42, I have them picking up Matthew Bergeron. Now, hear me out. They do have almost 13 offensive linemen on this roster. Four of them are starter worthy. Now, you have to build an offensive line, especially in Green Bay with the way, um, what's the head coach's name? Oh my God, why am I blanking out?
LaFleur.
LaFleur, with the way he uses, the run game and the blocking, just the blocking techniques and the blocking scheme itself. Bergeron slides nicely into guard. Now he doesn't have the arm length to play tackle. He doesn't have the anchor what to play tackle really well, especially left tackle. But you slide him to guard. Like he's a really good run blocker. You have that set. You have your offensive line set for Aaron Jones and also for Jordan Love.
Hmm. I have Dolphin fans groaning right here at 42 as the Packers take Darnell Washington.
Oh.
So yes, another one off the board.
He he
And at
reminds
43,
me.
I guess I can announce that the Jets are going to get a guy that can play almost everywhere on the offensive line. Another need pick, but they need it. They don't have anything up there. Cody Mock at 43
Oh.
to the Jets, I think makes a lot of sense. He could play anywhere on the interior, and they'll find a spot for him. Probably at left guard,
Mhm.
or possibly a right guard. I don't know where they're going to play.
You would
What's
have
the guy that
Darnell Wright and Cody Mock on the right side.
well, the Jets, I have Anton Harrison playing on the left side, Mekhi Becton at right tackle. And
Mhm.
then I guess, what's that guy's name? I always forget his name. But they took him a couple of years ago and they converted him. He's in here. Elijah Vera Tucker. Okay.
Mhm.
Elijah Vera Tucker at right guard. Laken Tomlinson is at left guard. Max Mitchell gets bounced out. Mekhi Becton moves to right tackle. Anton Harrison to left tackle. And this is where Cody Mock slides right in at right guard. So I like this pick for them, and he gives them a lot of versatility and kind of completes that offensive line. Like right there, you built the entire offensive line. You're looking at it, and you're like, "This is pretty good. Like we like what we have here."
I have them picking a linebacker in Trent Simpson. They need linebacker
Mm.
help. CJ Mosley is, yeah. They need defensive help as well. I mean, Robert Saleh would probably want a guy like Trent Simpson to play Sam, to play Will, to rush the passer, to be in coverage as well. Like you can have a great offense, but if that offense isn't putting up points, especially in the AFC East with pretty good defenses, you're selling yourself short right there. Like you need to be able to stop the Buffalo Bills and the Miami Dolphins. Those two are high powered offenses. You need to be able to stop them. So they pick up a linebacker in Trent Simpson. 44 is the Atlanta Falcons. What do you think they do at 44?
I think you see the quarterback here. I think Hendon Hooker to the Atlanta
Really?
Falcons, and Desmond Ritter gets a little bit more competition, and they'll figure it out going forward. But
I don't think
I
they pick
like
up
Hendon
quarterback.
Hooker here as a fit.
I don't think they pick up quarterback. They're committed to Desmond Ritter. They've said it like multiple times. They are committed to Desmond Ritter. I have them picking up a wide receiver in Rashi Rice from SMU. So think about this Falcons receiving core. You have Kyle Pitts. He's what, 6'4", 6'5"?
Mm.
Drake London.
6'5", yeah, 6'5".
Drake London, 6'2", 6'3". Rashi Rice, 6'2", runs fast as hell, can block. You have a pretty good, running game. They're like, who was their running back last year? I keep forgetting the names, but he was a fourth round running back. Uh, like Tyler Algier from BYU, seventh round running back actually, hit over 1,000 yards. You have guys on the perimeter that can block. You have guys on the perimeter that can catch anything that goes up in the air. Like Desmond Ritter will be freaking drooling, and he'll have a fantastic supporting cast for him to be successful. I think that would be a great pick Rashee Rice to the Atlanta Falcons. 45 Green Bay Packers. Now, I finally have them picking up a wide receiver. They pick up Cedric Tillman. He can block. He can run the routes. I think he's much better than Jalen Hyatt. In my opinion, he was a much better wide receiver. At Tennessee, he can run all three routes on all three levels, and he blocks similarly to a tight end as well. So I think Jordan Love will be okay in Green Bay.
I outdrafted you here because you gave them Matthew Bergeron at 42, and this is where I'm giving them Matthew Bergeron at 45. And I think same reasons you gave. He's a perfect fit, great run blocker, perfect for the scheme. Man, Green Bay at 42 taking Darnell Washington and taking Matthew Bergeron at 45. That's a hell of a boost for that run game, right? For Jordan
Yeah.
Love. Jordan Love is having a great draft so
Jordan
far
Love is
on my
having a great
board.
draft for the both of us. For
Yes.
both of us. 46 is New England. Now, this continues the wide receiver run. They take a sleeper wide receiver in Michael Wilson from Stanford. He was a Senior Bowl standout. Very, very underrated. Isn't getting that much hype. They need another wide receiver to help Mac Jones or whoever else will be the quarterback. It's most likely going to be Bailey Zappi next year.
Mm-hmm. I have them doing the most predictable thing in my entire draft. Jack Campbell goes to the New England Patriots here
And
at
that's
46. So it's BPA. It's a need. It's the
both.
new defensive captain for Bill Belichick. Jack Campbell
And you
goes
see,
here
I
at
have Jack
46.
Campbell at 47 to the Washington Commanders. I mean, if he's here, Ron Rivera is literally going to fly up to the board. Like, he's literally the Ron Rivera type for linebacker. They need another linebacker to pair up with who's that guy from Kentucky? With Jamin Davis, third year guy. All right, we're getting close to the Dolphins. Number 48. That's the Detroit Lions.
Well, no, you got 47 coming up right now.
I just did 47 with the Commanders.
Okay, but you didn't
Yeah.
get mine. Steve Avila
Okay, yeah.
goes to the Commanders. You have 47.
Yeah.
Perfect fit. It's a need. He might even be their BPA. Steve Avila to
Dang,
the
if Steve
Commanders.
Avila drops that far, makes me kind of think.
I think he might even be there at 51.
Yeah, it makes me think.
Okay, I'll give you. Let me jump the gun on 48 because I'm going to make the Dolphin fans groan a little bit more here. Sam Laporta goes to Detroit here at 48. A coach who used to be a tight end gets a tight end. They traded T.J. Hawkinson last year. They replaced T.J. Hawkinson with Sam Laporta a year later. Perfect fit.
Another Iowa tight end.
Yeah, perfect fit. Perfect fit for that offense. It's a high-powered offense. Doesn't need very much on offense. I already gave them 2 defensive players in this draft. So maybe the offense needs to get a little bit of a touch-up. I think they get that touch-up with Sam Laporta at 48 to Detroit.
At 48, they pick another corner in Julius Brents. 6'3", long arms, perfect complement to Joey Porter Jr. as well. 2 hyper-aggressive corners. They may be a little bit touchy, but man, Detroit is going to be fucking nasty if this draft happens. This is going to be good for Detroit. Like if they do something on that cusp of Julius Brents, Joey Porter Jr., and Anthony Richardson, they may be my favorite team in the NFC. Number 49, Pittsburgh
Blake
Steelers.
Freeland. Pretty simple for me. It's a
simple.
need. I actually like the player a lot. Now, here's the thing as far as Miami is concerned, because I've had a lot of people ask me about Blake Freeland. Some people don't like him. I do. Okay?
I think he fits in Miami as right tackle.
I think he fits in Miami. He fits in Miami perfectly. I don't understand where people are getting some of this, oh, he's not strong enough stuff. As we posted today on OnlyFans and as Chris Kaufman, I think, posted on Twitter, he put a very long list of top offensive linemen that lifted 225 less than 25 times. Blake Freeland threw up 225 25 times. There's a long list of Pro Bowl offensive linemen that did not reach 25. So that he's not strong enough, We don't believe it. I love him here for the Steelers. At 51, I'd be like, okay, I guess it makes sense for Miami. At 84, in my opinion, it would be an
A home run.
absolute home run for Miami to take Blake Freeland at 84. I think that that's his. I'm picking Blake Freeland in this draft at his very, 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 very
Top
ceiling.
ceiling.
Yeah, right at 49. Because I think that his sweet spot's going to be from 50 to where Miami picks at 84. That area right there is where he'll go. And if Miami really wants them, I think they might have to move up somewhere. If they take somebody else at 51 and they still want Blake Freeland, I think they'll have to use 84 and something else to move up into the 60s or 70s to secure him, because I think that's his sweet spot in this draft. I like the player. I think he's a good player. I think he fits a need for the Steelers here. He would fit a need obviously for Miami, of course. So Blake Freeland at 49 to the Steelers.
Big, strong guy. I have Cody Mock to the Steelers.
Mm-hmm.
Fits anywhere. You can play left guard, right guard, maybe left tackle, but I think he's more so best suited as guard. Steelers get more protection for Kenny Pickett, more protection for their run game as well. Pick 50. We're getting close to the Dolphins now. Pick 50 is the Buccaneers.
Buccaneers, like you said earlier in this draft, they needs a little bit of safety help. I'm going to take the guy who's a little bit more suited to play with Antoine Winfield, and that's Antonio Johnson.
Okay, from Texas A&M.
Yeah, from Texas A&M. So Antonio Johnson here at 50.
Have you haven't selected Brian Branch anywhere, have you?
Yeah, I took him earlier.
Where?
I got him in the first round at 24 to the Jaguars.
Okay, so the Jaguars, yeah, team captain, yeah, that's right. Okay, Antonio Johnson. I don't know. I'm not the biggest fan of the safety class, but who am I to judge?
Neither am I. I don't think it's a great safety class at all.
Yeah, I thought that the Dolphins would pick up, like when they drafted Javon Holland, I thought that they would pick up the other guy from TCU. Forgot who that safety was that year. I mean, I'm very off on my safeties, but I mean, we'll see how it goes. I have them picking up an edge rusher in Isaiah Foskey. They need edge help. Like they need somebody that can rush the passer, in the NFC South. Like they're gonna have to go against Desmond Ridder, maybe C.J. Stroud in Carolina, maybe Bryce Young in Carolina. Who knows? Saints, they have Derek Carr. Like you get him, you hit him 2-3 times, you're golden for the game. You get Isaiah Foskey, who has dropped a lot of value in the board, but I think you get him for a value pick at number 50. Now, Alf,
and now I gotta pat ourselves on the back.
Wait for 51 though.
Yeah, I know. We made it all the way to 51, and we did it in only 1 hour and 13 minutes. When I told you, we talked about this, and you said, what are your ideas for this mock draft we're going to do? And I said, well, why don't we do a mock draft from 1 to 51?
Uh-huh.
Why don't we do that? And we were thinking, man, this thing could go on for hours. No, it didn't. It went 1 hour and 13 minutes.
Because we prepared our picks.
Right. And now we could actually
talk and discuss.
We could discuss for about 17 minutes, make it a nice and tidy 90-minute show. We got 17 minutes to discuss what could happen at 51.
Okay, so
now, let me go first, and then you could go last since it's your show. On 3 yards per carry, we already did this. Okay, yeah. We didn't do a mock draft, but we made our predictions. Okay, all our guys are still there. Okay, Chris Kaufman predicted it would be Tucker Kraft at 51. Simon Clancy and myself, we predicted it would be Keanu Benton, the defensive tackle out of Wisconsin. So I am not gonna be one of these people that's gonna pick something on a podcast and then pick something else on YouTube and say, and then look for the one where he was right and say, look, you see, I was right. So I'm gonna stick with my prediction. Keanu Benton to the Miami Dolphins at 51. And we can discuss what else is on the board and what we would be doing. But I think this fits a need going forward.
Uh-huh.
And I think it helps the team right now. I think he plays close to 400 snaps for this team at a minimum. I think he plays all of the snaps that John Jenkins has left.
Mm-hmm.
And I think that he'll play anywhere from one shade all the way out to about 4, maybe
Four eye.
possibly 3 tech,
I
because
think
I
he
think
could play
Christian
up to
Wilkins
four
and
eye.
Zach Sealer are going to play a lot of 5 tech this year.
Yeah.
A lot of, and if you look at the team, what do you really have on the interior? You're going to have Christian Wilkins and Zach Sealer part-time.
Mm-hmm.
And then you're going to have at edge the starters plus their backups, Malik Reed and Andrew Van Ginkel. And then the true ends are going to be Agba with Wilkins and Sealer. So, and those guys moonlighting inside, they're short one defensive lineman. I think the defensive lineman is Cano Benton. I think they take him here at 51.
So you got to look at who's still on the board for 51 for me.
Mm-hmm.
I'm gonna give you these options. This is how the board falls. You still have Darnell Washington. You have Jahmyr Gibbs. You have Zach Charbonnet. I really like Charbonnet. You have Drew Sanders. You have center slash guard.
Well, you could already disqualify a bunch of people
Uh-huh.
by the first 2 names you gave. Darnell Washington and Jahmyr Gibbs. I believe that's who the picks are. If you've gone back in history, I believe I'm pretty certain of this, and I have no information on this because I haven't researched it. Has Chris Greer taken a guy from Georgia every single year he's been a GM?
Let's see. Last year was who?
Tyndall. He was from Georgia.
Last year was Tyndall. Let's look at let's look at this.
Okay, I'm pretty
Chris Greer
certain he's
drafts.
taken a somebody from Georgia every single year. So I would say it's Darnell Washington, but on your list, man, I think Mike McDaniel jumps up and says, "Come on, man, we got lucky here. Take Jahmyr Gibbs. That's it. End of story. Call it a
And
day and let's
you still have
celebrate."
Keanu Benton up there. And you also have Jonathan Mingo also there.
But remember, it's not what I want.
I know.
You know what I mean? It's what I think they'll do,
All right, so let's look at the first draft for Chris Greer about this Georgia stuff. 2017, it was Missouri and Charles Harris, Raekwon McMillan, Ohio State, Cordrea Tankersley, Clemson, Isaac Asiata, Devon Gottschalk, Vincent Taylor, Isaiah Ford. No.
Okay,
No
but
Georgia.
remember, his first year in charge was the tank year, so it's 2019.
Okay, 2019. Let's look at that. Wilkins from Clemson, Dieter from Wisconsin, AVG from also Wisconsin, Isaiah Prince from Ohio State, Chandler Cox, Auburn, Myles Gaskin, Washington. That's the tank here, right?
Mm-hmm.
You want to go back a little bit more? 2016.
You could go the year before. The year before that is the tank year.
2018 draft, right?
Yeah, 2018 draft is the one that he was in charge. The first time that he was in charge of it all. What did he take?
All right, 2018 NFL draft. Miami Dolphins. Okay. He had nobody from Georgia. He had Minka. He had Mike Gesicki, Jerome Baker, and Durham Smythe. Literally only 2 of those guys are still there. You had Kalen Ballage, Cornell Armstrong, and Quentin Poling. Then Jason Sanders in that draft. 2020, you had Solomon Kinley from Georgia.
Okay, that's one.
2021 was Waddle, Phillips, Holland, Eichenberg, Long, Coleman, Dokes. No Georgia player.
Okay.
2022 was Tyndall.
Okay, so he's taking 2 out of the last 3.
On, off.
Yeah, on, off. If your board, well, you can make your pick right now if you want. But I think if your board is what happens, I think they take Jahmyr Gibbs. I would guarantee it.
I do take Jahmyr Gibbs in this mock, especially if he falls to 51, which is a dream scenario, but I don't think that's how it's gonna go. To be honest, like some team would be dumb enough to not pick Jahmyr Gibbs. But here's my concern, right? Like if we do pick up Jahmyr Gibbs, you have a decent run blocking team, but if you are going to ask Jameer Gibbs, 5'9", like he's kind of small. He's shifty, he's fast. Yes, we get it. But if you're asking him to be the bell cow, you will not be successful. Do I think they'll have a bell cow uh, system? I, I don't think so. But with Mike McDaniel, I get he's the run game guru. It's going to be very pass heavy, but how many snaps is Gibbs going to play? Is he going to be a true number one running back for the next 3-4 years? And is it worth investing this high of a pick in a running back?
Hmm.
Then I get to, okay, you have an athletic freak in Darnell Washington. He can block the hell out of people. I mean, yes, he needs to build a much stronger base to play in line, to handle those heavy and fast edge rushers on the right side of the line. But can he be fast enough to catch passes? Like, he's big for sure. He's big. But can he be fast enough? Can he separate? Does he fit what the Dolphins are looking for from a tight end on the pass catching aspect of it? We talk about Mike Gesicki a lot. Like, we know he was not a fit, but for the routes that Mike Gesicki was running, I know you and I had to talk about it. Can Darnell Washington do that? Can he find that soft spot in the zone, in the intermediate uh, points of the field? Like, are you going to have a 6'7" guy just be like, "Hey, I'm a big target, throw it to me"? You don't think the linebackers are going to play over there? You don't think the safeties are going to like come down? Like, obviously, it opens up for Tyreek and Waddle, but how many deep shots are you going to take a game?
A lot of this, as far as a tight end is concerned, and this is where you can begin to start mocking tight ends to the Dolphins. You got to look for the guys that can run routes with timing, okay? Because what's important in the system is how you run your routes and with what timing you run them with. Because it's imperative that when Tyreek Hill is running a 14-yard dig, that your tight end be at 8 yards on the button hook. And he has to be in the right spot. Okay? Because if he runs it at 10, if he runs it at 9, he's giving depth to the linebackers and he's essentially throwing picks for his quarterback. And I know some people that are like laymen and they don't follow football too much. They're going to be like, wait a minute, how does a tight end throw an interception for your quarterback? Very simple.
Leverage.
You're moving safeties to where your quarterback wants to go with the football. It's as simple as that. That's
It's
one
also
thing that,
leverage too.
yeah, it's one thing I didn't like about Mike Gesicki in this system. He was bad at timing with our wide receivers. So, can Darnell Washington do that? Who are the guys that can do that in this draft? I think Tucker Kraft can. I know Sam Laporta can. So those are, I think, if both are on the board, man, I think they had to have a conversation, right? About what they want to do with the offense this year. So yeah, it's a great point. It's a great point on Darnell Washington. I just love the talent, and we know he can run block.
Yeah.
You know,
Yeah.
and you know what, and what my partner on the podcast says. If you don't like him at tight end, man, he's your right tackle in a year. you know, convert him to tackle. It's as
Can
simple
he
as
play
that.
right tackle?
Yeah, absolutely. In a year, absolutely. He can play tackle in this league.
Dang, he's gonna have to bulk up big time then.
It's nothing. It's the NFL. He's 6'7". Have you seen his frame? He can
Yeah,
hold it.
he can.
Okay. It's
He
it's
can
about it's about 25 pounds that he has to
more.
work
He can
with.
add on. He's got the flat. He's got some space for it. But playmakers. It's very hard to say no to Jameer Gibbs, especially on the passing element of this offense. Like, he could be your number 3 wide receiver if you really want him to. He can run the slants, the Texas out of the backfield. You get the two run, like you get Raheem Mostert on the left side, Jameer Gibbs on the right side. You have them both out catching passes. You have your outlet. You have Waddle. You have Hill. Whoever the heck your tight end is, you have Durham. You have Smythe running an RPO flat. Like, you got options. Just let Tua pick who he wants, I guess.
Absolutely.
1 minute, 25 seconds. That's where we're at.
Well, 1 hour, 25 minutes.
Yeah, 1 hour
Uh,
25. One
yeah, the
hour.
way my
25
board
minutes.
shook up, man. If you wanted a running back, man, they're all there. Zach Charbonnet, I like. Devin A. Chain, Tajee
Man,
Spears. All of those guys are
Dwayne
capable here at
McBride.
51.
Oh, people are really sleeping on Dwayne McBride. Like, have you seen his explosiveness rate? That's literally top three in this NFL class. He's 6'2". He's ran the ball a lot at UAB. He's been successful at it. He's I gotta look at his rushing yards over expected, but the leader in rushing yards over expected, which is a
I'll tell
good
you one,
indicator. It is
and
it
I'll
is
tell you
a
another thing.
very good indicator of performance in this league. The best running back that does that is Zach Charbonnet.
Oh yeah. Oh no, that's without a doubt. I'll tell you one thing. The way that my board shook out, Luke Musgrave is still on the board.
Yep.
A lot of Dolphin fans will look at it like, okay, just take Luke Musgrave. Please
He's
don't.
mocked a lot to the Dolphins as well.
Please don't. That's Mike Gesicki 2.0. We already had Luke Musgrave, and we let him go.
Let's look
Okay.
at let's look at grinding the mock real quick. I know we're gonna go I'm gonna grinding the mock real quick. They've been really good at this shit. They've been really good at this shit. Expected draft position. Let's look at player charts. Let's look at draft positional charts. Let me see if I can share this real quick. Okay. For 2023, we're looking at tight end, for example, right? This is from the 25th, from yesterday. Look at where Darnell Washington is. Look at where Luke Musgrave is. That's literally
Mhm.
right in the Dolphins' range. Right in the Dolphins' range. You take a look at running back. You don't have a chance at Jameer Gibbs so far. You don't have
Mhm.
a chance at Gibbs so far. Go ahead and take a look at you want to tackle? Top guys will be gone. You want a guard? A left guard? Maybe Avila. Maybe Avila. But now let's look at ESPN's analytics right here. You go ahead and you take a look at the pick for Miami at 51. Look who's there. You got Zach Pickens. Zach Pickens is a fantastic defensive line prospect. His get off is one of the best in this class. Like, if you want a defensive lineman to be, at your core on that front four, to potentially replace a guy like Raekwon Davis, a guy like Zach Sealer, Zach Pickens is there for 80%. You have DeJuan Jones over like around 80%. You have Jonathan Mingo 82, 83%. Now, the chance each player is taken at pick 51, you have Bergeron, Sam Laporta, Steve Avila, Trent Simpson. Jack Campbell's way down there. Darnell Washington is right here. Less than a 3% chance to be taken. Listen, man, mock drafts are great, but how does a team prepare for something like this, something so intense where you have 4 picks? It is a challenge. It is a challenge.
They could also scattershot the whole thing by taking 51 and trying to monetize it for a couple of
Picks.
top 100 picks. So, which is something I think they might consider doing if the board doesn't shake out how they want it to.
Yeah. Oh, all right, folks. 1 hour, 30 minutes. We did it. Pat yourself on the back, Alf.
By the way, have you? I made my prediction on my podcast that's going to be Cano Benton. Do you have a
John Ben.
prediction of what's going to happen at 51? We know who they visited. We know everybody they've spoken to.
Mm-hmm.
They've spoken to a lot of running backs.
They have.
Devin A. Chain, Tajee Spears has been spoken to as of late. Sam Laporta, Tucker Kraft. So What do you have happening at
I'm
51?
gonna go with the tight end over here. I think they're gonna go Tucker Craft at
At
51.
51. So you're with Chris Kaufman. Man, there's a lot of consensus here. Okay. You and Chris are with Tucker Craft. Me and Simon are with Keanu Benton.
Chris, I don't think nobody's really seen it, but Chris and I have pretty similar tastes in prospects. If you haven't noticed by now,
Mm. And I wonder where Jonathan Mingo ends up.
I think he's gonna go to the Chargers in the second round.
Oh, that'd be awful if that happens. I think he's going to be a really nice player. He's one of my favorite guys in this draft, one of my favorite prospects. I love to see him in Miami. We just don't have the picks. We don't have enough picks.
No,
Because
you can take.
he's probably a luxury at 51. At 84, you have no chance.
Yeah, he's a. You can think who is you can thank Bruce Beal for that.
Yes. Yeah.
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 All right.
Because they could have been able to take 23 and monetized it for a future one and a second. Maybe.
Or they could have taken Bijan Robinson and we would have been perfect.
Yeah, exactly. Although no, I think Bijan Robinson goes to 10. If I'm gonna call one guy to one place, it's gonna be besides the obvious Bryce Young to Carolina to open up the draft. I'm gonna go ahead and say that Bijan Robinson ends up with the Eagles at 10. I'm pretty sure about that one.
I think it's gonna be CJ Stroud. I'm sticking with my guns on this one. But before you guys leave, make sure you stick with us here on 5 Reasons Sports, especially here on the YouTube channel for the pregame show. Stick with us on Playback as we look forward to the Heat doing a gentleman's sweep, finishing the job in Milwaukee. Hopefully, they get it done tomorrow, Thursday. It's draft day. I think we may possibly have a draft day stream throughout the first round. I may pop in for a little bit. We're going to have most of the Dolphins crew here as well. We're going to have Alf. We're going to have me. We're going to have Lewis. We'll have Dono, maybe even Troy Stratford as well. Just look forward to us here. Draft night. Maybe the Dolphins trade up to 20 in the 20s and pick up Jahmyr Gibbs. Maybe they do that. Who knows? As always, y'all, fins up.